Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach and I need to get rid of some braces here. So I think I realized at the end of the last episode that what I need to do here is say if parameter's length is greater than 0, then do this. Okay. And then we'll need a similar one, not for those, but here. And that's a good reason why I don't like having any ifs, whiles, anything like that. Allow you just to be one-liners and not put a block around them. As you can see here, that is my standard. That's what I always do because it's clear, and then you don't run into a case where I suddenly put that here, and if I would have forgotten to put the block around it, then my code would have been incorrect. It would have been really messy. Okay, there we go. So people don't do that. I always do. I always put them in blocks for just that reason. Now this was done in the value builder. We're also going to want to do this in the void builder. So, and where are we doing this? This is in method validation with parameters. So same thing here, I bet. So we want to say if, let's just grab this. Okay, method parameters is greater than 0, 0. Put that there. And then we'll grab that. And we'll come down here because, yeah, I think this is the one that we want to do. Okay. Because we still need this here. We do a break because it's a little bit different with a void. Okay. Now, let's just run this test first. What I do want to do, though, is remove these and pull that up one. And then this one should also do that. Okay, and this only showed up in the case now where you had no arguments, but you did have a type argument. So let's see what this test does. Well, it still failed. Sad panda noises. Why did it still fail? We're still getting these things. Not all code paths return a value. Okay, so let's do some, I'm glad I did that. That was the right thing to do, but let's grab all this code, come into VS Code. Let's make a new, grab all this, move it over a little bit. Okay, so now let's look at the actual errors and see on what lines. So this is saying on 105. So if I go to 105, there we go. Okay. Well, it's saying not all code paths return a value, right? Not all code paths return a value. This is one that when I'm finally, like, you might have been looking at this and going, well, Jason, you're stupid. You're dumb. Oh, shoot. No, that's the result. Okay. Because we're saying it's not null and it's this. If it is that, then we say call method return. That sets the result. Otherwise, we say if it is of this type, the return value, the method handler itself, then we get its return value. Otherwise, we throw a exception and that's fine. And then we say return. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just saw it. Because we could come out of the for each, and I think what I need to see is a method that actually has parameters. Here we go. Yeah, we need to, in this case, say throw an expectation exception. And we're not, because we probably have an assumption. So let's go to the value builder first. And we do that. I was scrolling around for a bit because I'm like, what do I do? So Yeah, here's the problem. Okay, I just found it. So what we want to do is the same thing here, or that. And then we also need to do that in the void builder. And I think that was right at the top, right? Because we probably do that with parameters. So this is a void. Oh, we don't return. That's right. There would be no case for this because there's no return going on. Okay, famous last words. This will bite me later. But I think this does solve that issue because now it will put in a no handlers match for. Okay, so now what we need to do is run this. We'll get some errors, but then I will, because new code's gonna be generated, but then I will add that in and see if it passes. Okay, I fixed that. And then 5 errors showed up. I'm like, what? What did I do? Maybe I had fixed more than I thought. But I was looking through these, and for example, like this one, they're all like this kind of stuff. And again, I think, oh, well, you're going to do that, are you? Why are you? No, don't do that. Like, I don't want this here. Why would you make my life miserable? Whatever. Anyway, hopefully you can see this. You can see now, oh God, that's just awful. God, why do you designers not do the right thing? Anyway, okay, you can see here, this is taking in, this is ref_int and global frame, but global frame of T, where this is a T. What we were doing before is just casting it and going, yeah, that should be fine. We're no longer doing that. We're recognizing that that should be this. So I think these 5 errors are actually correct. Again, the power of unit testing, because we had these in here, even though this was a bug and we should not have been doing this in the first place, you know, we're now seeing, oh yes, this was a bug and nobody just ran into it. So this is kind of a little concerning. As I've said before, Rocks doesn't have a lot of tires kicked. Don't have a lot of usage for this. And that's one thing I want to do is start to find projects out there that are open source and just use things like mock or nsubstitute or fake it easy and convert them over to Rocks and see what does it really take to do that. You know, and some of it just may be features, like a mocking framework has a feature that I don't, and I won't for whatever reason, but it would just be interesting to see if that uncovers more issues. Okay, so I am going to, why is it saying, oh, there's 3 there. Okay, that's why. So I am going to fix these and then see if I can get all the tests to pass in the test project. Okay, as you can see, I've got the git changes up here and I just got all the tests to pass in the test project. So there were a couple of other cases in some of the pointer and ref stuff that were failing and failing correctly because I was doing casts and I wasn't doing as or is or whatever. So that's actually good. And now what I'm going to do is the shutdown, start up again dance. I'll run all the tests. And I know there were at least 2 in the integration tests that I just created that were failing. Hopefully they succeed now. We'll see. But I'm going to do that and then we'll see where we are when those run. Well, I'm a little disappointed. Still getting 3 failures in this thing after all that work. And I was confident that I was doing the right thing. This is still not working. So I'm kind of like, oh, why? What are you suggesting here? Oh, yeah, we should do that. And the same thing up here. And then I bet I got one up here too, somewhere down below. Yeah, so I'll do that one as well. Now, interestingly enough, this one works. So if you have arguments, it works. But yeah, just doing this, it still doesn't work. Why? So let's go look. Yeah, let's look at the run method. So we're getting no return value. Okay, that makes sense. And here's the fun thing. We can debug into this, right? Hopefully that'll work. But we can debug into this. So what we're saying is when you call it with an int and a GUID, yeah, and now it's not going to actually navigate to this because it went to a debug build. But give me a second. I'm going to clean start and come back to this and see if I can get this into debug mode. Okay. I ran into the case where it's like, no, I can't get in there because this is all errors. Blah, blah. But if you step into, then you actually can get into the code. So, okay, so first things first, I wanted to actually look at these because I'm like, am I doing this right? I'm not sure I am. So this is doing a run. So I'm thinking that the thing that went through my head is I don't know if I'm actually like somehow capturing the right thing in all of this, if that makes sense, because the input there should be that. But let's come back down to here. Okay. So let's just keep running. Okay. Now let's step into. Now, how many method handlers do we have? Really? None. Are you kidding me? That doesn't make any sense. What? If I hover over this, now it's 2. I know I saw it being null before. So we have 2 in here. Okay. And one is a rocks handler information of int, and the other one is of a GUID. What does t return at this point? It's an int. Okay. Wait a minute. That's wrong too. Oof. Well, that's a minor thing, but still incorrect, because we could go through this and do it once and go, oh, I wonder if that's the problem. Maybe. Let's see. So we do this. We say, what's the result? Result is 4. So we return the result. Yay, we're 4. Let's come step into this now. Okay, so you think you're null, but you're really not because you have 2. So we're going to increment the first one. Oh, well, that's going to be the next episode because I got stuff to do today. So, yeah, I just realized what the problem is here. We need to have, and I think you see this. Is this one that, no, this is an interface one. But if we had one that was a class, you could look at the one that has the get hash code. No, the equals, because we pass something in. I think what we need to do in this case is because we need to have validation for both the arguments coming in. Okay. But in this case, we have a return. We don't have any arguments. If we did, that wouldn't matter. And if we don't have if we don't have a return value, that doesn't matter either. But when we have a return, we also need to have an if check after the for each to say, if we need to do this, we need to say, if method handler is this, or the method handler itself is that. Okay, so let me write down some notes because I'm going to forget this. Okay. So let's come into here. So we did this. We did this. We did this. But now what we need to do is, I think so let's just copy this because we need to do this. Can't type. I think we need a check here. So I'm just going to grab this because I'm gonna forget. Specifically, after the for each, we need to see if the return type checks meaning we need a if or we don't need to capture it, and it's got to be one or the other. This will happen after any parameter validation. Okay, so, and that would solve the problem with the increment call count. Okay, all right, that will be done in the next episode because that's going to be slightly tricky, but potentially not. Well, there's probably a place in there that says for each like argument, do the if on there or something like that. And we also need to include them to say if there is a return value that if the return type is open or is based on a type parameter, then we also need to make this check. If we have a void and we didn't have any parameters, because a void, we'd automatically go into it if we had parameters. And the only thing we care about in that case is if the check is generic on the type of the parameter. In this case, though, we need to also be checking the return type. And only in the case, though, of it being, well, no. Well, okay, no. Okay, sorry. If we don't have any parameters, but we have a return, and the return is based on a type parameter, then we need an if. And if it's not, we don't care. Because if you basically just had like a public int return with no parameters at all, the only one that you could ever create is the 0th one. And I think we still hold that. We didn't change that. We still have the case where you have no arguments, no parameters, and in that case, the only thing that you can do is create one expectation, and that's called. And if you need to do multiple things, you need to create a callback and handle it that way. So I'm going to do that in the next episode because that's going to be slightly tricky to make sure that that works correctly. But at least I know what the problem is. Hopefully it'll be fixed in the next episode. Thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.